Okay, welcome to lesson 7. We are adding and subtracting whole numbers in unit 1. So it says many strategies can be used to add or subtract numbers, such as drawings, manipulatives, calculator, and paper and pencil method, and just doing it in your mind, in your brain. Some of us have certain numbers memorized. So 2 times 3 is 6, such things like that. So when we are adding, 3 times 3 is 9. So now when we're adding, what we're going to do is we're going to line everything up according to place values. So we always line it up according to the right-hand side. So I'm making a video of your lesson. That's what we're doing. So I can post it on Google Classroom. That's what is happening right now. Okay. So step 1, it says place the numbers so that one number is above the other. We call that vertical placement. Okay. So this is called vertical. Woo, I'm still in this is vertical placement. So you're going to line them up vertically, up and down. Vertically just means up and down. Okay, so top to bottom. But what you're going to do is line them up towards the right-hand side. Okay, so always in the ones place line is where you go. So when I'm going to add them, you start going from the left to the right. So we take visually up and down the first 2 numbers. So they're showing us the first 2 numbers here. They're going to make a 13. The second digit, the 3, is the one that falls down. And they're showing that right here on the second step. And then because the number is a 13, you have to go add 1 on top. So they did the adding 1 on top here.
How'd you get to 3?
Because I added 8 plus 5. So 8 plus 5 is 13. So the 3 goes down here. The 1 goes up there. So I've got a 3 and a 1. So that we can add straight up and down. Okay? So now the 2 numbers I'm looking at. Okay, so now we look at the second step. Now we're looking at the next 2 digits. So the next 2 digits we're going to actually add are the 2 and the 6. So we're going to add the 2 and 6 and get an 8, and then I'm going to add the 1. So that's what they're showing in the very next step. They're saying this is going to give me an 8 plus this 1 right there. 8 plus 1 gives me my 9. That's where they're getting that 9 from. Okay? So they're taking this 8 here, 2 and 6 gives me an 8. They're adding the 1 to give me a 9. Now we're going to go to step 4 on the next page. It says now add the hundreds place value. So this guy has a hidden 0 right there. So he's like adding 1 plus 0. Well, 1 plus 0 is just a 1 and it flows straight down. So your final answer is 193. Okay? So again, all we've done is we've lined them up vertically. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do the same thing with subtracting. So we're going to line them up to the right again. So line them all the way up. And then now we're going to subtract. But what if the number on top is smaller? Well, that's when we have to borrow 10 from the other number in front of us. So watch carefully. We're going to do these first 2 digits. Can 7 actually subtract 2? If you're not sure, check your calculator, but you can also check your number line. Here's 0. There's 2. Okay, 6, 5, 4, 3, and there's a 1. If you're at number 7 on the number line, so this is saying I'm at number 7 and I need to subtract 2. So I'm going to get rid of 2. Where does he end up? Positive 5. So this guy's going to end up at positive 5. That's where they're getting the 5 there. Okay? So you can think of it as a number line process. Now we're going to go the 8 and the 9. Well, the 8 and the 9, you're going to notice the 8 is smaller than 9. So when the 8 is smaller than 9, what we're going to do is the next page, top of page 3, it says 8 subtract 9 is not possible unless you get negatives. So we're not dealing with negative numbers right now. We're only dealing with positive numbers. So it would work if we're dealing with negatives, but it doesn't. So now we've got to borrow from the number to its left. So you're noticing what they're doing here with the number 5. The number 5 is on the left-hand side of the 8. So they're going to borrow 1 from that, but it's actually borrowing 10. So what's going to happen is the 5 now becomes a 4. So the 5 is going to subtract 1. He becomes a 4. Okay? Now this becomes 18 because it's actually 10 plus 8. So watch carefully right here. This is actually 10 plus 8. That's what's going on up here now. It's 10 plus 8. So we get 18 subtract 9. Well, 18 subtract 9 is 9. So now I know that we're going to do this. We're going to have our 9 down there. That's how they get the 9. They did 18 subtract 9. That's where we get our answer 9. And now we look at the last number we have. Well, we've got a hidden 0 here again. There's a hidden 0, and I've got a 4. 4 is bigger than 0, so I can subtract nothing, and I get a 4. So my final answer should be 495. Okay, and they're just showing here to subtract the hundreds where you've got that hidden 0 right there. Okay, so again, you can do it in your calculator, but what if you don't have a calculator? You've got to line them up. Okay. All right, let's do some fact families. Fact family means things that are true. So if I were to take a calculator and add these numbers, that means it gives me a true statement. But what do you notice about the way I wrote the numbers? So look at the way these numbers are written. So I've got a big number plus a small number gives me a bigger number. But what did they do in the one right below it? What did they do? Yeah, they just switched the numbers around. So they put this guy here and this guy here. Does it matter which way they go? Not if you're adding. Okay, if you're adding, it doesn't matter which one goes first. Okay, you're always going to get the same answer. However, when you're subtracting, you always start with the big number, subtract small. So we're always subtracting big, subtract small. Okay. We're on page 4. Fact family is on page 4. We're almost done. Now it says, together these 4 mathematical sentences make a fact family. So it doesn't matter the order you put the numbers in when you're adding. So again, when we're subtracting, we take a big, subtract a small. But because we know that 2 numbers add to give us the big number, it doesn't matter which one we subtract. We're going to get the other one for an answer. So that's why it's called a fact family, because you're getting the other answer no matter what. Okay? All right. Now we're going to verify subtraction. So how do you verify subtraction? Well, it's going to tell us how. It says when you subtract, you can verify whether you're using a right answer, whether or not you're going to use opposite operations, remembering in your brain, your calculators, or diagrams and manipulatives. So it says the grocery store has 90,000 units of this product you want. It says if they sell 40,000 units of that product that they have, how many remaining do they have in the computer? Well, here what they're doing is they're taking, and if we estimate, because we can estimate here, they're showing us that 47,000 is close to 50. So we're talking about rounding here. Or approximate. So if we're rounding or approximating something, okay, so all we're doing is we're approximating. So if I've got 90,000 of something and I'm subtracting 50, I'm going to have around 40 left over. So it says you're going to have around 40 left over. Now this is approximate. This is around this much. Now let's actually do the numbers. So if I said I've got 90,000, 1, 2, 3, there's 90,000. I'm selling 47,000. So the zeros will just flow down and create zeros because nothing subtracting nothing is still just nothing. So our last 3 numbers are still going to be the zeros. But now we're subtracting a normal 2-digit number. So can 0 subtract a 7?
No.
No, I need to add 10 to that number. So where do I get the 10 from?
The 9.
Right. So what does the 9 become when I borrow from it? What do you think?
The 8.
That's right. So this guy's going to become an 8 because I'm borrowing 10 from that guy. Remember, when you're borrowing from the one beside it, you're actually borrowing 10. So now I've got 10 subtract 7. And that's going to give me 3. And then I've got 8 subtract 4 is going to give me 4. So in the end, I'm going to have 43,000. And that's what the calculator in the computer should show you. Okay? So when this is what we're doing, for example, if you were working in a store and you had to do inventory and they said, okay, you've got this much that we started with at the beginning of the week. At the end of the week, we sold so much. How much is left over? Okay, that kind of thing. They do a lot of this stuff at Halloween and they do a lot of it at Christmas, and they're doing it now for Valentine's Day tomorrow because it's called seasonal. So right now you're going to see all these seasonal products in the stores. But the minute Valentine's is over, they're going to start putting who comes next? What comes next? Easter. Okay, so the next event and the next special day would be Easter. So they're already starting to fill the stores with that stuff.
Birthday.
All right, so that is just a recap on adding and subtracting. You've got the rest of the block to work in your assignment, okay?